Hello, and welcome back to RPZ. Today will be a different type of video. It will be the discussion of the Sonic the Hedgehog campaign's background. What sort of rules I'm using for the campaign itself. Because, let's face it, the Sonic the Hedgehog universe is more confusing than anything, more confusing than Kingdom Hearts, more confusing than Metal Gear. It's more confusing than anything else in the goddamn universe because Sega can't decide what's canon. So, in order to show what is going to be in this campaign, I'm going to discuss those guidelines. And first and foremost, the games are the main canon. Their order in which they took place is not the order in which they came out, but rather a order of best fit events. So to give an example, Tails' more modern iteration in Colors Onward would be treated as what would happen first, basically, in the timeline, because that's when Tails was still not confident in himself and still relied on Sonic. By extent, a game like Unleashed, for example, comes nearing the end of things, because Tails is basically become mostly researcher full time at this point, and very clearly Eggman is done a giant laser beam actually hitting the planet like he wanted to in SA2, and had it worked. Uh, so, going off on that, we get to the rules of the sort of story. So, the campaign is taking place in Soliana. The story is the mainline story is that of Sonic 06. And one might ask, well, Sonic 06 is already finished. Why are we going back to it? Well, you see, good question, but you're wrong. No, Sonic 06's story is far from finished. Because something that is very subtle but very noticeable is at the very end of Sonic 06, after Sonic and Elise erase the timeline, we see the Festival of the Sun occurring as it did in the beginning of the game. But Elise is still holding the Festival of the Sun. This is curious because if the events that leading up to the creation of Solaris had never occurred, then wouldn't Elise's father still be alive? And wouldn't Elise's father be the one holding the Festival of the Suns because he would be the current ruler? Very curious. And because of that, that right there is why the story takes place. Basically, with entire the entire timeline being screwy, and very clearly Sonic knows something, and probably everyone else that has chaos powers, including Eggman. Basically, with the plan failed, no one really paid attention to Soliana, and Soliana went out doing its own thing. And the events of the past, the 10-year prior event, they still occurred, almost as if Solaris is an inevitability. Meaning that instead of just resetting time and sealing Solaris as they did in Sonic 06, they want to stop Solaris, they have to stop either its summoning or full-on kill the thing. And hopefully have the world not be destroyed in the process. And that idea is this campaign's idea. Basically, Sonic and his friends are not around to help, and it's up to these new guys to save Soliana from its inevitable destruction. And as for other existing things, while the games are the primary canon, this means that anything from the comics do not exist. And by that, I mean their events. The characters, at least most of them, most of the better ones, not the creepy Ken Pender stuff, they do exist. Anything that had a cool concept in the comics, or just popular characters like the Acorn family, do exist in the universe. They have their own kingdom and their own location. But they have never interacted with Sonic in their lives because it is not something that has ever appeared in the games. Eggman has also never touched the Acorn family. It's still a happy, prospering kingdom. So the characters existing means that the party, if given the opportunity, can go and interact with the characters. But the characters will have no relation to Sonic or his friends. And as for other material of the comics, such as the alternative universe where Scourge is from, and other concepts like that, they still exist, but like the Acorn family, have never interacted with Sonic. So, also, to add emphasis to the threat of Solaris, there will be dimension travel that will occur. Perhaps not necessarily by the players, but definitely by other characters, as there will be crossovers. And the crossovers will be pretty much anything that has a strong relation with Sonic that I can think of having a good story with. The ones that I have currently consist of Mega Man, Puyo, and Freedom Planet. And they will all appear in the campaign. Now, as for another outlier that I should discuss, Silver and Blaze. So, their story is convoluted as hell. How am I handling it? Especially considering how integral Silver and Blaze are to 06's story. Well, like in Sonic Rivals, Eggman Nega is from the future. The same future that Silver's from. And Eggman Nega, in order to prove that he was superior to his predecessor, traveled through time and dimensions and ended up in Blaze's world. And that's where he tried most of his schemes. And when they failed, he would go back to his original dimension and either team up or with Eggman to take out the threats that are necessary in order for him to prove his point, or just full on try to prove his point on his own. So, to break that down, Silver's from the future, Blaze is from another dimension, and Eggman Nega is from the future, but lives in Blaze's dimension. This way, both of his statements from both Rivals and Rush are accurate. And it also explains why Silver and Blaze are such close friends, because both of them are working together. This leads to the whole dimensional police idea from the Sonic comics, which I'm going to be using to an extent. Where basically it's just going to be Silver and Blaze are a time-space police of sorts, with Marine as the Tails sidekick, and they're just trying to stop Eggman Nega from wreaking havoc across the multiverse. And as for the characters themselves, how that's handled is just like any other Dungeons and Dragons campaign. If anyone watches this video that wants to know the rules of the campaign in terms of like, yes, this is how we make the characters and this is how we function with everything, then let me know, and I'll make a video at some point detailing that. But for now, this is what I have, just to give background information to all those that might be asking. So, please, join us tomorrow for the first session of the Dungeons & Dragons campaign, Sonic D&D. So, until then, ta-ta!